So the project is on the role of green innovation to fight climate change. You know, there is the whole debate about whether we should have degrowth, negative growth, to fight climate change. And, but we know we had an experience of negative growth. It was the lockdown, the COVID lockdown. And we know that, you know, we had no choice, but it had negative consequences in many respects. And for poor countries, it had damaging effects. Mortality went up, it slowed down their development and all that. So the alternative is green innovation. But the problem is that innovation is not spontaneously green. Firms that innovated in dirty technologies in the past tend to continue to innovate in dirty technologies in the future. So there is the role of the state and civil society in inducing green innovation. And that's what this project is about, to look at various channels whereby government and civil society can induce more green innovation. Okay, so we look at the complementarity between carbon tax and industrial policy. We look at how you manage intermediate source of energy. We look at the role of civil society. You know, the consumers, how consumers can you know, prompt, and the consumer demand can prompt green innovation. We look also at the role of finance, especially financing new firms. Because the new firms don't have these bad habits of having innovated in dirty technologies in the past. Financing new firms is a way also to speed up energy transition, and we look at the role of finance. We also look at the role of industrial policy, particularly in production networks, where you have complementarities between, you know, the more upward layers of production and the more downstream layers of production. We also look at what we call structural change. We know that as societies develop, they tend to become, consumers increasingly demand services, and services are less polluting than manufacturing goods. So we try to, you see, to link structural change and to the debate on climate change. And another thing also we are very much interested in is Plan B. You know, the innovation can be to mitigate, to slow down the temperature increase. The other one is you have adaptation innovation, new technologies to adapt better to you know, global warming. But there are also innovations aimed at cooling the air, we call that amelioration innovations, Plan B. So is it a good idea or not to entertain Plan B? Some people will tell you there are moral hazard issues with that if you entertain Plan B, you stop doing Plan A, which is mostly to do all what we try to do now to push firms to innovate and produce in clean technologies. But another argument would be to say, no, if we don't do what we have to do, us, the developed country, what will happen is that less developed countries like India or China that suffer most directly the consequences of global warming may unilaterally engage in Plan B type, like for example geoengineering type of innovations to cool the air, because the global warming becomes unbearable to them. And anticipating that should prompt us to engage more forcefully in Plan A type of actions to prompt, to speed up energy transition. So, and there is also the whole issue of macro policy. How do you rethink macroeconomic policy when you have energy transition? For example, too high interest rates will typically deter young firms, new firms from investing in green innovation. That may slow down the transition process. So you need interest rate to rise interest rate to increase interest rate when you fight inflation, but maybe you want to complement interest rate policy with industrial policy, because if you only rely on interest rate policy, the problem is that you slow down the energy transition. When you deal with the public debt, same thing. You want to reduce public debt, but not at the expense of necessary investment in green technology, and we know that if you delay those investments, it becomes much more costly tomorrow to invest in green transition. So you see, those are the set of issues that we are planning to address in this research project.